Hello, can you hear me now? Hopefully that's working now, you can hear me. Just let me know you can hear me. I am getting input, so hopefully it's working. Looks like it's working anyway. Hear me now? Anybody? Good. Okay, cool. Right, start again. I downloaded a new game over the weekend. Resident Evil Village, which is basically Resident Evil 8. I love Resident Evil, it's really cool. And I put my headphones on, and of course my headphones got a mic attached to it. So as soon as you plug your headphones in, it goes, oh, you want to use this microphone. And then when you unplug your headphones, it doesn't go, oh, I'm going to switch back to the microphone I used before. I'll keep on this one that isn't plugged in. Windows. Oh, damn, it's coming down again, Dax. So sorry about that. What I was saying was, pound CAD, I got out of at the weekend. I closed that position out, basically. This pound CAD, took it on Friday last week. This bounce off of this daily level. I got out yesterday morning. I'm just not convinced on this. I'm really not. The pound. I'm not convinced on the pound. This is a absolutely golden level down here. And technically, it just looks amazing. But then I realised that I'm in EuroCAD short, basically, which is that pending order that I put in on the euro. I had this pending order sitting here at this gap after this accumulation, waiting to get in short, and I said I've waiting for ages to get in short, and it didn't let me in on Thursday, didn't let me in on Friday, and then Friday late it pinged up and took me into that position, and I was like, brilliant, I've got in that euro CAD short. And then I looked at the fact that I was in the pound CAD long, and I can't hold both of these because I'm obviously hedging myself. Euro CAD and the pound CAD are going to move pretty much the same, aren't they? I'm just much more inclined to say that this pound CAD is going to go short. This euro CAD is going to go short. So as much as I love that pound CAD level, and keep hold of it if you've got it, because it is a beautiful technical bounce, and we got a lovely bullish engulfing on the daily straight off of that level. It's quite possibly going to do that, but I just can't have any faith in the pound at the moment. The economy is shot, and I just can't see the pound going up. So yeah, I got out of that pound CAD. I've banked it, basically. It's a nice, easy, quick trade off of support, so I've got out of it, which means I've got the euro CAD short, which I'm still in at the moment. Obviously you can see you got a very similar price action on that one, but I'd be much more inclined for this to go short, so I'm on that one. I've also taken this morning an Aussie US. So we had the news this morning of the interest rate rises. I may well get stopped out of this Aussie trade. It's a textbook stop hunt. If you look at all these Aussies this morning, it is a textbook stop hunt on the rate increase across many pairs. Lovely stop hunt of the highs on the Aussie Swiss, Aussie Yen. We've just pushed up into an area of resistance. Aussie New Zealand is a different story. Get those two move together. Aussie US, we've pushed up into this sell zone. So it looks to me technically like a beautiful continuation short. The thing that I like about it is that the rates changed. So the Aussies actually put the rates up 0.35 instead of 0.25. So it's an unexpected news event, and I would expect the Aussie dollar to push long off of it, which is the reason I've got into it. I may not get anything out of it because it's pulling back at the moment this morning. But if they do push the Aussie off of this rate, then I think it's a pretty good bet that we're not going to come back down under that level there, this accumulation. So I would expect us this morning to start hitting some support here and then continue to the upside. So if it's going to work, it's going to work. If it's not, it's not. But I just like the look of it. It also looks lovely as a technical short. So it's got both going for it, hasn't it? Oh, I wish I hadn't got out of that DAX. I've just broken even on the Aussie US as well. Not my morning this morning. I just had $650 of profit. I've just taken 120. I just got out the DAX short. Sod's law, isn't it? I was playing a gap fill. And that candle stopped me out. I had my stop there. I was in here, short. I'm in one at the moment, but I had 4 positions on short, and I just stopped out. That's for $70 on that candle, that one candle. Now I'm sitting in about $1,000. Hey ho, start to the week. Hey, I'm moaning about making money. Yeah. So there's the gap fill. That's what I was playing. So I'm going to hold on to this one that I've got on at the moment. Just reduce risk on it. So just got that one short. Very annoying. So that's basically where I am this morning. So this week, we had manufacturing PMI yesterday. Today we have had the rate increase on the Australian dollar. We got JOLTS this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and then this evening we've got the New Zealand unemployment change. So big day today for the Australasian pairs. We've had that initial movement. I can't get into this DAX now. Pain. We had that initial movement to the upside, giving hints that they will basically push the Aussie dollar. At the moment, though, it's coming down this morning, so we will see. New Zealand dollar, that's going to impact the Aussie dollar as well. So again, this evening, we've got some more potential movement there. It's a yen holiday for virtually all of this week, so nothing happening there. We may get some manipulation on the yen. Wednesday, we have got non-farm employment change before market open. And then we've got the services PMI in the afternoon, and then 7 o'clock is FOMC. So the fund rate is expected to go up to 1%. We'll see what happens with that. I very much doubt that they will change that. It is very rare that the Fed actually changes its rates. As you can see, what they say goes the vast majority of the time. Every now and then we get the odd one, which is different. It's very rare though. And it tends to be in time of crisis. They tend to do it when there's something dramatic happening. And I don't think they're going to change it. I think we're just going to get an as expected release. So I would expect potentially strength off the US dollar off the back of that, which is why I was expecting some weakness this morning on the US dollar. Hence that Aussie dollar, US dollar looked like a pretty good bet this morning. But so that one basically is the big one for this week on Wednesday, 7 o'clock. We've then got OPEC on Thursday, so watch out for Canadian dollars. We've got the monetary policy statement and the rates for the pound on Thursday. And again, the pound doesn't tend to, the Bank of England doesn't tend to change the rates that often from unexpected to unexpected levels. As you can see, we do get the odd one every now and again, but the vast majority of the time it comes out as expected. It is an increase. Potentially it could bolster the pound. I'd like to see what happens this week ahead of this, to maybe give us some clues as to which direction it's going to go. But I don't think even an increase is going to increase the pound. I think we're going to continue to drop on that. Really coming down hard on the indices at the moment. 0.7. Should I take that off down there? Gap fill's done. Yeah, I'm going to close that off with 0.7%. So that's just the gap fill trade. Wait for a pullback. Potentially look for more shorts. We'll have a look at the indices in a minute. So pound, a little bit of strength potentially, but I don't see the pound continuing to strengthen up. We've got US dollar unemployment claims as well on Thursday. And then Friday's the big one, or the second big one. We've got the unemployment for the Canadian dollar mixed in with non-farm payroll. And obviously non-farm payroll is a big mover, and obviously just whipsaw basically. So great for news trading if you want to make a quick buck within 5 minutes to an hour. Won't have any fundamental impact at all. Just will move very fast, very hard for a bit, and usually stop everybody out and whipsaw everybody. So yeah, big week ahead. We've also got Bullard and Waller speaking on Saturday. Highly unlikely they would say anything over a weekend because the market's shut, so would ignore those. But yeah, so big week ahead of us. So looking for instruments basically to try and trade off of these. New Zealand dollar, obviously, there's plenty of New Zealand dollars that you can trade. These are only unemployment figures, but I would expect we'll get some movement off of these because we've just had the Australian dollar rate announcement. So there's been a lot of volatility on the Australasian pairs. So they will use this, I would suspect, to move the market. And obviously it's going to be very light liquidity. It always is when we have the New Zealand and the Aussie dollar announcements. So you tend to get fairly big movement, which is why we've had ADR hits already this morning across all the Australian pairs, apart from the yen, interestingly enough. So that's the news for the week. Plenty of that available coming up for us to look at. Just watching the DAX. Just watching this for potential short. Still in the Aussie US long. Maybe get stopped out on that in a bit. DAX is a bit of a difficult one to call at the minute. We've got this weekly control candle, or this daily control candle at the moment, which we haven't broken out of. So it's a difficult one to call direction on at the moment. Obviously the market's bearish. I'm just seeing where this goes, how far this is going up. We're getting a complete retracement across all the indices at the minute. All doing the same thing, complete bullish engulfing. Wow, FTSE's really going for it as well. There's an opening range for you. What do you do with that? Long or short? Morning, Stevie. Morning, Prof. Burke. Systematic Trading, good name. Technically, we're getting an opening range break to the high. There's no sustained buying or selling coming in across anything at the minute, which is it's just very difficult to read what this is. I suspect, I was going to say, we're probably going to look to go long. So this was just the gap fill this morning, and now they're going to take the market long this morning by the looks of things. Where are we going? So there's lots of spots to go high today. Difficult to call, isn't it? And that's a hell of a stop for an opening range. There's highest session we just tapped into as a double top. Okay, I'm going to go with the buy stop above the highs. So looking for a bit of a pullback and then long. I might see if I can get in somewhere down here if we pull back into this as well. But looks like the market wants to go long this morning. So from a news perspective today, obviously there's nothing until this afternoon, and there's nothing that's affecting the Eurozone at all. So there's no reason for the market to sit there and wait for anything today. So it should just go. Obviously, we're coming off the back of a bank holiday as well, so there's going to be a lot more volume coming in today. Yeah, we could just chop around in this range as well. So it's a big range, big opening range. May well just be faking out today and just taking the market long and short. Just playing the range, but we'll see. So I've got long bias based off that initial price action. I'll be looking for some longs down here as well, if we can get in down here. Keep an eye on that. I'll keep an eye on my other platform. So that's news covered. Commitment of Traders report this week. I think the US dollars are long. This is just such a mess at the moment. Really is such a mess. Euro is still a short. The pound is still a long. The CAD's still a long. So that I trust. I've got a question mark over the Aussies at the minute with what's going on with Ukraine and the fact that these are pulling back so hard and they're conflicting with each other as well. So really don't know what to make of those. Yen still negative. Didn't bat an eyelid at any positive movement on the yen. I'm just really not paying much attention to this at all. I don't think that's right at all either. I think we're going to be strong on the pound, on the US dollar. The Canadian dollar is the only one I think they've got right at the minute. So I don't think this positioning is speculative at all that we've got in the COT report at the moment. I still think the markets are overall negative. And the fact we're in a bear market is kind of screwing everything up. Market's not used to being in a bear market. The stock market's not used to being bear. It's bull. So it's just at the minute, I think we've got this weird situation where, we're used to making money and we're at the moment we're unsure whether we're making money or not. Occasionally we look like we're starting to make money again, then we fail again, then a war breaks out and the economy's gone mad. It's just the whole thing's in a mess. So COT, I think we have to kind of throw out the window still at the minute. I'm keeping an eye on it, watching what's going on. But I've got no real faith in any long-term bias on anything at the minute because the markets are moving on such short-term drivers at the minute. You can't have any sort of real long-term bias on anything, I don't think. And I don't think anybody has at the minute. So everybody's looking to make money speculatively short-term. So where we are at the minute, looking at the indices, we'll start off with those. We had a lovely little sweep on the S&P on Friday of the lows. So we have now made our new low. So market structure is still holding very, very nicely. We had the double top and then we broke back down for a new low. So we are actually in an expanding range at the minute, which is very, very difficult to trade. But we have just put in a new low. So we still are in the bear market as far as the S&P is concerned. The Dow, we came back down and we've just rejected off of these lows. The Nasdaq, we've put in new lows. We put in new lows last week anyway. So new lows in there as well. And obviously on the DAX, it's a lot less aggressive and much tighter range, but we are still moving down. So we had a new low put in last week. And we're just pulling back at the minute. So as well as you can see, this is nowhere near as volatile and aggressive as the US indices. So everything still looks bearish across the board. So I'd be looking ideally for short plays long term. So I'm looking for them to keep going down. But we have just come down to these lows on the S&P, so therefore there's a good chance that we may well have an up week this week where the market tries to push up, but I wouldn't look for any real breaks outside of recent big strong moves. So when we get up to these sorts of highs up here, I'd be looking for short opportunities if we get up there. But as far as it goes from an intraday basis, just looking at what goes on with the open really, and seeing what it looks like for this initial session, all short term, but long term much more bias on the short side. The DAX obviously is very difficult to tell at the minute. A lot of people are saying with the DAX we are flagging and looking to push higher, but with what's going on in Europe at the minute, I can't see this market going higher, and this market is dragged around by the US indices, and obviously the US indices are all bearish. So continuing to look for shorts, and as you can see on the lower time frame, we've got quite a few levels coming up here where I would expect us to reach for and then bounce from. So far today, obviously all we've done is whipsawed up and down, no direction at the minute, and the market is really, really quiet at the moment. We've had that massive flurry put in, short and long, and now we're just sort of sitting there. So might be a tricky one to trade today, but we'll leave that for a minute. We'll go through all the FX pairs. So I'm just looking for a pullback into this area here. I'm just going to set a little alert there for when we get down there. There's nothing going on at all at the minute. It's dead. Right, so looking at all the FX pairs. So ADRs today, we've had Aussies hit, obviously, off the back of the rate announcement. So this is a tricky one. Some selling starting to come in. This is a tricky one. Obviously, we had that news on the rate announcement. It was bigger than expected. They've pulled back and faded that move. And now we are putting in, again, very difficult, but we're putting in slightly bullish price action. So you can kind of ignore the ADRs on these really, because it's obviously all been done by this news event. Aussie New Zealand is the main one that has moved the furthest today. Aussie New Zealand obviously move very closely together, and obviously because the news is based on the Australian dollar, it's always going to outdo the other one. If it was the New Zealand dollar, this would be smashing through the Aussie. So very, very strong continuation move. Looks like it's playing out at the moment on this one. We haven't managed to pull back into this area. So this is kind of what gives me a little bit more faith that we may well push long on the Aussie this morning. But it's going to be quite dependent on obviously what happens with the US dollar today as well. But that is what I would expect to be quite short today. So just because it's ahead of the FOMC news, and I'm expecting them to power it up tomorrow. So Euro odd, that's hit to the downside, and obviously looking for shorts, so I wouldn't want to take that one. Pound odd, same thing, looking for short opportunities, so wouldn't want to be getting in that one. So ADR's not an awful lot to look at really. It's a new month this week, so we can keep an eye on these monthly ranges as well. Obviously there's nothing hit yet. Weekly range is already hit on the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, so that has already done its weekly range, 125% of its weekly range. Obviously we had an update yesterday which has helped, and obviously then the news today, so not really a reason to short this. We've got a fundamental shift, we've got an unexpected increase in rates, so I wouldn't really want to be taking shorts on that at the moment, but that has hit. So just keep your eyes on anything else that's going to hit maybe today for potential shifts, for reversals or pullbacks. Aussie New Zealand is hit on the hourly, as you can see. That's the only thing we've got lit up there. And on the 4 hourlies, we've got the Aussie New Zealand and the US dollar Swiss. So US dollar Swiss, I've been trying to get into this thing and can't. So as you can see, shorted it when we got that extension on RSI. We got embedded up here, and then we pulled back a little bit, got embedded again, tried to short it out of that, couldn't get in. Tried to then short it as we pushed back up and got massively extended towards the end of last week. Got out, glad I did. Just took a break even on that one. Yeah, can't get in this thing. US dollar is absolutely screaming at the moment. I'm looking for a pullback on this. I'm still looking for US dollar to be long, but I'm looking for some kind of pullback. We're not getting it. We're just embedded, completely embedded. So I was looking basically for either yesterday or today for them to start a pullback ahead of FOMC. Doesn't look like they're doing it, does it? So yeah, absolutely screaming that thing at the moment. So I would leave that well alone from a short perspective at the minute. We've got very, very, very extended. We got well over the 80s on this last week, and it's just not breathing. We had what looked like the start of a move, obviously, which was going well, but yeah, just reversed. So US dollar Swiss, nothing really interesting there. Just watching the DAX. We're rejecting down here at the minute. All the other indices are doing the same. So we've got some bullish price action starting to come in. So might try and start a position here. If you look at this on the on a higher time frame, this is basically just a very, very nice rejection wick. So it's the gap fill basically, and then rejection. We've got lots and lots of rejection on this morning, and obviously that is the ultimate finish. So looking for it to break out of these highs and have a little run north. Not quite sure how far it's going to go, so keep an eye on it. But looking for long. See where we go. Right, so that's basically all we've got on those. So we're going to have a flick through all the FX pairs and just have a look at where they all are and where they all are potentially going this week. Gold, I will do as well. Start off with that because I know people like gold. We haven't got that support at all. We've broken down again to new levels. So where we were expecting a continuation after the initial pullback and breakout, we've got completely opposite. It's completely failed. And obviously this is off the back of the US dollar strength. We've got that incredible US dollar strength that we've had coming through over the last couple of weeks. And as gold has been basically sideways, there's been no long or short bias on gold. US dollar's taken control and just pushed the price of gold down basically. So as long as that continues and we don't get something different happen in the conflict in the Ukraine, I suspect we will continue to get that sort of normal short movement continuing. People buy up gold. So when there's times of conflict, and obviously Russia is a very large holder of gold as well. So I would expect the gold price to go up, but that hasn't happened. And it's the same with oil. We just got this complete undoing and then sideways movement, although gold has started to push up a little bit more. So yeah, short bias. I mean, you can kind of trade this any way you want at the minute, long or short. So when you get massive extensions like this, get in and just get out fast. Same with everything at the minute. The key at the moment is get in and out quick. Don't hang around for these massive monster moves because things are just changing on a dime, and they're not doing what they would typically tend to do on a normal trading basis that we've seen for the last sort of decade, really. So yeah, in and out quick. So nice double bottom, get in, get out up here. Fast entries, fast exits, small time frames, and just take advantage of small movements at the minute. There's a lot of people killing it at the moment on volatility indexes I've seen as well, because obviously the market is getting hugely volatile, then contracting, then big volatile, contracting. Yeah, so there's a few people killing it with the market reversal alert indicator on that at the moment. So, but that's all very, very, very short term. M5, M15 sort of stuff. So yeah, gold looking for continuation on these shorts, but it's going to depend on what happens with FOMC tomorrow, and what the Fed decides to do with the rates, and what the Fed says about what they're going to be doing with the rates over the coming sort of quarter. So the market may well completely shift its sentiment tomorrow on the US dollar and go back completely the opposite way. Again, it's all based on news. The world moves on fundamentals. The market moves on fundamentals. So we just have to wait and see what they say. But I'd be more inclined for strength on the US dollar based on what the Fed is saying it's going to do and what it's currently being done at the moment. So that's gold. Cover that one. Bitcoin I don't bother with, but just look at the indices if you want to know what's going on Bitcoin. Oil, say we were in that sideways movement. We had that big retracement. It has held up better than gold, but we are contracting at the moment. So oil prices obviously just sideways. We've got OPEC on Thursday, so OPEC could come out and say something, but I would see oil continuing to rise at the minute. The demand structure and supply structure of gold has been completely upset by the war. It's only going to get more expensive to get hold of it. It's not going to get any cheaper, so I would expect oil to continue to rise. But getting into it, again, very, very difficult to sort of see when to get into any of this stuff at the minute. But looking for longs on that. So let's start off with the Aussies. So Aussie dollar, we've had this nice, big, strong push down. Mainly that's off the back of the Canadian dollar strength. But now we've got that rate announcement. Obviously, the Aussie dollar is starting to bounce. So looking at where we're bouncing from on the Aussie dollar CAD, that's a lovely support resistance level. We tap straight into that, and we've got a lovely bounce. So potentially looking for this Aussie dollar to continue to strengthen off the back of this. Aussie dollar Swiss, same sort of thing. We are long, and we've just had a nice bounce off the 24.72 area. Aussie yen, same thing. Aussie New Zealand, obviously that's going to go way higher and faster than the rest. And the Aussie US. The Aussie US is the difficult one, because obviously that's going to be based a lot off of what the US dollar does tomorrow. But look at it on the daily, massively extended. Would expect to at least get some kind of pullback on this dump that we've had. But if we get a strengthening in the US dollar and the Aussie dollar strengthens, we'll tend to get that sort of movement on this. So some kind of sideways movement, possibly some kind of grind to the upside on it. But looking at the levels, so coming down to lower time frames. So I'm just watching the DAX out the corner of my eye, popping up. Just about to get a reversal alert long on the DAX. It's thinking about it anyway. These indices have all gone completely quiet at the minute. It's just sideways. Being propped up by the 20 at the minute. So second position going in there. Get a little bit buying coming through. Nothing strong this morning. So with the Aussie dollar, expecting market structure to shift now. So we've had obviously the reversal alert on the hourly, which got retested, and then today we've had that move back to the upside. We've broken those highs, so be looking for pullbacks and long opportunities on that. Target on it is difficult with this. I would suspect obviously the main area of support resistance is this accumulation here, where we obviously pushed up, slammed through, tried to get through that again, and then we used that as a support, accumulated on it. So when we get back up to there, if we're going to continue in this vein, that's where I'd expect us to start hitting some levels of resistance. We've got the big nice propulsion gap on the hour and the 4 hourly in there. So anywhere up there, looking for potential short opportunities. But if it slams through that, obviously, then be looking for it to come back down into this area here for continuation to the long side. It's difficult, as I say, it's very difficult to tell at the moment which way anything is going to be going long term. But I would suggest just look at the hourly and the 4 hourly support and use that. So use levels for continuations in the way that it's moving until it tells you otherwise. So Aussie dollar, looking for longs on that at the moment. I'm still in the Aussie dollar US dollar. That's pushing back up again at the moment. But Aussie dollar CAD, obviously, so market structure shift to the upside, taking out those highs, look for a pullback and potential long on that one. Aussie dollar Swiss, same sort of thing, looking to get back up into these highs at some point. We have just taken out those highs. I say these are very, you can look at these in two ways. There's a lot of people going to be shorting this morning because they've just seen liquidity run at the highs, which is completely valid and could definitely happen. Equally, from a fundamental perspective, I'm thinking they've upped the interest rates higher than expected. I would expect to get a little bit of Aussie dollar strength off the back of that. So any kind of pullbacks into here, you would expect to meet some buyers. But where we are at the moment, if you look at what we did last week, it's virtually nothing. It was a flag short when that flag's just broken. So a lot of people will be looking at that for shorts today. But those will be the technical traders that pay no attention to fundamentals. So, one way is going to be right, one way is going to be wrong. The important thing is, if you're going to get in long, you get in after we've pulled back and get in like that. If you're going to get in short, you're in now. Just make sure you've got a decent risk reward in whichever one you take. But personally, I think a little bit longer than shorter on the Aussies. Aussie dollar yen, I still haven't got a clue on these yens. All we've done on the Aussie dollar yen specifically, and a lot of these yens, is we've pulled back into support again, and we've gone into a range. So last week we opened here, and then we pulled down, we pushed back up, we pushed back down. So we had a down week, which is our second down week, just after coming out of a sideways week, a slight up week, and that was a slight sort of up week as well. The whole thing, the yen, basically we had that big strong push, and now we are completely sideways. So there's no directional bias on this yen against the Aussie at the moment. The same with the New Zealand, if you look at that one as well. It's the same sort of thing. The yens I'm leaving alone for the moment. I don't have any directional bias on them, long or short. I'm waiting for the Bank of Japan to step in and intervene. They have said that they are quite happy for this to trade up to 135, which would signal the yen being weak. So I would be looking for long opportunities. And obviously this, we've just had a reversal alert on the 4 hourly there, which we are retesting at the moment. So this looks like a nice looking little long. I remember I had a New Zealand dollar yen long on last week. Similar sort of principle, but it's not really gone anywhere. It's just kind of up and down, up and down. So again, lower time frames, be looking for reversal alerts and trading those really. So if we get push up and a pullback, wait for reversal alerts long at decent areas. So either in propulsion gaps, so trading out of the propulsion gaps, or looking for good strong levels of support resistance to take bounces from. But looking for longs on the Aussie dollar yen as well. Much more long bias than short bias because of the yen and the Aussie dollar at the minute. So, but where it's going, who knows? We could well have a week like this. It's just you get that, and then if you miss that, you're stuffed. At the minute, the market doesn't let you in. It's very difficult to get in on these tight flags. Short, very hard to get in on a tight flag like that. Normally we're expecting much deeper pullbacks, but that's what we're getting at the minute. So yeah, looking for long opportunities on that. We just had a reversal alert long, but again, this is off the back of the news. So I'd wait for this to pull back. If it does pull back, getting long, you could get in long here, but you're right in a sell zone. So just difficult at the moment, that one. Aussie New Zealand, leave that well alone at the minute, I think. Obviously we've got this beautiful accumulation on the hourly, which is an area of balance. We've been very, very happy to trade in this zone, and we had a little bit of price discovery to the downside, wanted to come back. We tried again to break to the downside, brought it back. Now we're trying to break to the upside. I would expect it to pull back into these highs and then find some support to go long. So down here is where I'd be looking for long opportunities on that one. Anywhere around it's the 1.1 level basically, isn't it? Anywhere around there, pull back and then look for long opportunities. Aussie dollar, US dollar, I'm long already, on the expectation that we're going to get a slight bit of US dollar weakness coming in ahead of FOMC, so today and tomorrow. And obviously Aussie dollar fundamental shift to the upside. Nice reversal. It's come back, didn't get the retest. These lows here is what I put this in the Telegram group this morning, this trade. We are not interested in going down below that level at all at the moment. So that's where my stop is. If we are going down below that level, I'm wrong. If we're not going down below that level, this thing's off. So so that looks like a lovely little long opportunity. So I've just taken another position on that on my funded account, and I'm putting a pending order as well above these highs for an additional entry. In fact, I'll do that on here as well. Let's give that a little bit of room. So if we are going to just sort of accumulate and then break on this, then yeah, I want to be long. The thing with this one is we may be waiting on the Aussies for movement tomorrow, because obviously tomorrow, tonight, late nights, is tomorrow morning basically, really, from tomorrow's session. We've got the New Zealand dollar unemployment, so they may be waiting for the New Zealand dollar unemployment to move the market next sort of leg, if you like, on the Aussie. So may not get anything happening on that until tomorrow, but I want to be positioned so that when it does happen, so if they're just going to sit here and do this all day today, that's fine. When they do make that move, I need to be in it, and I need to be ready to scale into it. DAX is moving into second position on DAX. So that's your Aussie US. CAD Swiss. It's difficult to call the CAD Swiss at the minute. It's a long. We've just had a reverse alert on this after this lovely liquidity run. The CAD I still think is going to be strong moving forward. We're very, very sideways, and then a couple of days along, and then a lot of sideways chop on this at the moment. So it's quite a difficult thing to trade. We're looking for pullbacks and longs on it, really. But where and when is obviously very difficult to tell. You don't get too many decent levels on this. It's very choppy. So you can see obviously where I've got some levels drawn in here. We've come back and respected those very nicely. We did make this new high, but if you look at the last sort of week, all we've done is push up, pull back, push up. It's virtually impossible to say where we're going next. This thing's starting to roll over now, so this could be just a nice M-shape reversal back down to here again. So down here is where I'd be looking potentially for long opportunities. Equally, this thing could just fly at the highest this week. Anybody guess really, isn't it, at the minute? So if you're going to take longs, obviously just wait for reversal alerts and jump in on long opportunities. Decent stops. We've got some selling coming in at the minute. Retests. You can tell how conflicted it is at the moment. You've had a alert long, alert short, retest long. It's just sideways at the minute. So long opportunities on it. but we could well get down to here this week and come down and retest this accumulation. We had a very nice, strong, orderly push up into those new highs, but the market structure is definitely bullish, obviously, on this at the minute. It doesn't take a rocket science to tell it's bullish. So somewhere around here is kind of where I'd expect to pull back to at its deepest before we push long. All these yens, I'm going to whiz through all the yens and do all the yens now, because the yens are all the same. I don't know. Nobody knows, obviously, but I really don't know on these yens at the minute. We look like we're correcting, potentially, on the CAD yen. Every time we get a pullback into an accumulation, we're getting a bounce. So I have to say I'm going to stay long on as a bias on all the yens until we get a break. So what I'm looking for on all these yen pairs, which I said for the last couple of weeks, is I'm looking for a reversal alert that retests and then breaks that low. So I'm looking for market structure to get confirmed. So the 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get that, then I'm thinking, right, okay, we got some yen strength actually not just starting to happen and then getting blown away, but actually holding. And again, until then, we're going to get one or two things. We're either going to get the yens turn into a range bound, as we've seen for weeks. We sit there for weeks. We don't make a new high for weeks. We don't make a new low for weeks. We're just sitting there accumulating. Or we are going to have that yen weakness continue, and we're going to break out to the highs. So all of these, I would say, stick with the bias. Yeah, they're longs until they show their faces to be the opposite. So Swiss yen, we've had high put in, new low, lower high, till we get a lower low. I'm still bullish. Yeah, same on all of them. Euro yen, put that high in, accumulated for 3 weeks, and then we made that new high, had the reversal alert, pulled back down, pushed up. Again, need to see it break down below this level to show us that, yeah, market structure is going short at the moment. It's kind of a sideways to long, isn't it? So you've got to have a long bias. So if you're looking at smaller time frames on all of these yens, just take longs. Don't take any shorts. Just take longs. You've got much more chance of those longs working when you get a reversal alert than you have of the shorts, because the market is pushing up against the yen ever so slightly. No matter how slight the gradient, the channel is, it's up. So if you want to put the odds in your favour, you want to be taking longs on all of these at the moment. Pound yen, same thing. We had reversal alert, we pushed down, we accumulated, we dropped down for a low. We've just put in a 50% retracement on that move. So now, what are you going to do? Are we going to go back up to these highs, or are we going to put market structure in to show that we're short? Again, with what the Bank of Japan has said, more likely that they're going to keep devaluing and pushing higher. New Zealand dollar yen, same thing. We are very, very close on the New Zealand dollar yen to actually getting that structure break. So we've only got to get down below this level here, and we are short. So that one really is kind of the closest at the moment. We've obviously got news coming up tomorrow or this evening. So this accumulation here, no matter how small it is an accumulation. Yeah. So we broke out the accumulation, pushed up. We broke out the accumulation, pushed up. This is where I would expect this propulsion gap here for us to start seeing some buyers. So if we break down to there and then we close back up above there immediately, I'd put a question mark on it as to whether it's actually going to be a move, and it's going to be based on obviously New Zealand dollar news rather than anything happening with the yen. But again, still longs on all of that, and US dollar yen obviously speaks for itself. Hard. You can't get in long on these tiny little accumulation pullbacks. It's just so difficult to get in on these flags because a normal sort of flag break is very defined, and then you get that break and it goes. With this, it's just hard to even draw the flag because it's just choppy for a week, and then just nothing's really clean at the moment, is it? It's horrible. But yeah, longs on that one. I would expect them to try and pull the US dollar down, as I say, this week, first half of the week, and then push for FOMC. So looking for shorts on it at the minute. Not far. Decent bit of selling coming in at the moment on the indices. See if there's any news. No. So yeah, so that's your US dollar yen. So that's all the yens covered. Swiss yen. Did I cover the Swiss yen? Can't remember. No, I didn't cover the Swiss yen, did I? I think I might have missed that one. But yeah, same thing. This is where we're happy to sit and trade. This is where we put that lovely W reversal alert. We're pulling back, looking for long. So again, until this thing says I'm a short by putting in market structure to the downside, I'm long. But I just don't want to trade any of these long at the minute. Jesus, DAX. Stopped out on that breakout high. So, yeah. Nasty morning. Right, euros. Short all euros until we hear otherwise. Looking at the calendar this week, the pound and the euro have gone quite into sync at the minute. So there is a possibility we may see each other's events starting to impact on the other. But we'll see. We'll see what happens to the euro when we get the rate announcement this week as to whether or not that moves in tandem with the pound. But there's no euro news coming up. We've got Spanish unemployment change, the only thing tomorrow. But apart from that, there's no euro news in the foreseeable. So we have to look at the euro as usual as our normal short. We've had a lovely little pullback put in on the euro. So it's managed to get some power up. I took some shorts on that week before last, which I got out of last week and one last week as well. I'd be looking still for shorts on this. So we didn't manage to get that breakdown on this one. It's probably used to see on the hourly. As yet. And we got this big old accumulation, which we broke out of to these highs. So I've got to try and get this down below here, really. Once we break down below this level, I think we're going to get some decent strength. But nice rejection this morning. We pulled, from Friday. So we pulled back on Friday all the way to sort of 61.8 retracement on the previous week's move. And we've started collapsing out of bed this morning. Obviously, this is mainly based off of the Australian dollar movement. So I would expect a continuation on that. So I'm Aussie US long at the moment. If you want to get in on another Aussie pair, this is my second favourite at the minute. Looking for a pullback somewhere into that area and then shorting it out of there. In fact, I might actually stick one on there as well. Just going to try a small starter position up there. So yeah, I'd be looking for a move out of there, short, and then come back down and retest this area here, this accumulation, and then this is going to decide whether or not we're going to have the strength to continue that drop on the euro, or whether or not we're just going to get an accumulation or a bounce from that level there. Euro CAD. Got sell on this one. So this is the one basically where I had the limit order placed in this accumulation there. So we came up, got me into the position on Friday. Obviously yesterday we had no liquidity because it was bank holiday, and we just went sideways. Started to move down this morning, looking for continuation, at least down into that area, but obviously I'm looking for this just to continue to the downside. I'm looking to scale in on this one. So as it's a euro, I've got one position in there. Second position, somewhere up in the 100 to 150 ADR range. Obviously, that's not necessarily going to hit that today, but if we do push up into this area, I'll be looking for another short up there and a third short somewhere up at the double top, which will be a V-shaped recovery on that drop. And then I'd expect a new leg to start to the downside, assuming obviously everything carries on as it is with the euro. So short on the euro CAD, euro Swiss. This one, obviously, the euro Swiss is very. These guys move very, very similarly, euro and the Swiss, because obviously it's all Europe. It's very, very difficult to trade this. I would always be looking to short it. When we get any pullbacks, and again, this is coming into a nice area on this move here, so if you stick a fib on that, you'd be looking at somewhere between a 50 to a 61.8 retracement on this down move for the last week. So in a right zone for shorting. You can see how many support resistance lines I've got on the chart here. This thing's an absolute choppy mess. Swiss franc's always quite choppy anyway, but the euro Swiss, this thing is down. It's been down forever. Well, say forever. It's been down for the last 12 months. No reason why on the cards that it should be doing anything different. At the moment, we're having a little bit of a pullback. We are accumulating now into a symmetrical triangle. So we're very, very close to breaking to the downside, I think, on this one. And this is where I'd be looking for your shorts. So if you look at it on a daily basis, you've had a nice couple of days of pullback on this drop. Market structure is still bearish. Overall market structure bearish. So it's all very, very similar to the DAX, Euro Swiss. So looking for short opportunities on it. So looking at lower time frames, H4, we're not going to get extended on H4. It's going to be quite difficult to get extended. But looking for reversal alerts. So, looking at hourly, wait for a short. Whoops. Wait for a short reversal alert and then jump in and hold it as long as you can. You're going to get this thing either chopping for days, so you can hold this easily for a couple of days, and it will take a couple of days to get anywhere. It doesn't do ADR that often, as you can see. It just doesn't do ADR very often, which you get like things like the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar don't do ADR very often unless there's a news event. Same with the Euro Swiss. They move in tandem together, so you don't get that much movement on them. But when they do move, it's very orderly. Yeah. So you just have to wait for them. So shorts, this area here, this propulsion gap, we pushed down from this accumulation after 3 days, give it a quick retest and haven't looked back since. We're just pulling back into that area. This is our third rejection of this level. Sellers are stepping in. So yeah, looks good for shorts. Euro Swisses I've got on at the minute. Sorry, Euro Swisses. Euros I've got on at the minute. Yeah, I'm not going to take another one on that. But yeah, I mean, all these euros are all teeing up for nice looking shorts. Euro pound, you can say I shorted that one last week. We were looking at this neckline break. This is still holding. It's all rough. So this is roughly holding this level here. We are roughly moving down as well. So again, shorts on this. Nothing much is going to happen on this until Thursday, until the rate announcement for the pound. Good buying starting to come through on the DAX. It's taking another long on that bullish engulfing. Grand total is $77 up this morning. Sorry, Euro pound. Yeah, so nothing much is going to happen on this until we get the news on Thursday, the policy change. So expect to see, just a little bit of accumulation. But if you want to get into a position, I'll be looking to get in short at the moment on this one. But as you can see, it hasn't really gone anywhere. Load of rubbish at the minute. But long term, obviously, this is what I was saying when I said earlier about these guys moving in tandem. When you get two weak currencies against each other that are moving in tandem, like the Euro Swiss, you quite often get just an accumulation. And that's what we've got. We've got a range and accumulation. You can see there's very clear levels to the downside that we keep testing, and there's clear levels to the upside that we keep testing. So where you are at the moment, you're banging between these two. Not a good place to start taking trades from. You want to be trading from somewhere down in this area or somewhere up in that area. And just keep mean reverting it until something changes on the euro or on the pound. Euro yen I've covered. Euro New Zealand. So Euro New Zealand looking for shorts. This is obviously going to be moving off of the New Zealand dollar news tomorrow. We're showing a little bit more strength on this one. The New Zealand dollar's had a bit of a weak run. Again, since we started this war and we had this move down, we've really just not known where we're going. We are pushing out into new highs. This area here is where I said if we break above this area, I can't really see us stopping until we get back up into this accumulation up here, or potentially back up to where we were. This is where the war broke out here. That's where I'd expect us to return to. So we did just tap into that level. We rejected it quite nicely, pulled back. We've just had another go at it, and we are still having another go at it. So if we start to break these highs, I think we will see this get up to there. But it's going to be, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 2 to 3 weeks before we get there, unless there's some fundamental shift, a news event that actually takes us up there faster. So Euro New Zealand continuing in that vein at the moment, but it's got to break this level. If we just get a sudden breakdown below there, I would say look out below on it. But again, it's going to be based on news. If we get that New Zealand dollar unemployment figures come out dramatically different to what's expected, you could see these lows getting broken and this thing collapse. Equally, we could get the New Zealand dollar driving this completely opposite direction. But again, reversal alert, retest up at the highs, nice short. Look for support down there. But if we break those highs, I'll be looking for longs on it. But I'd say it's very, very difficult to trade this one because it just moves so slow. It's an absolute slug. Euro US dollar down. So we've got this little bit of a kink starting to form, which is what I would expect ahead of an FOMC. A little bit of weakness in the US. Not going to be enough to move this anywhere near where we are expecting it to get back up to. Shorts, but how do you short this? It's just very, very difficult to get into at the moment. You need to be just looking for shorts on low time frames. This market is an utter nightmare this morning. So little. We've got really big, wide movement, but from a directional perspective, we've literally just returned to where we started. So yeah, lots of volatility, no direction. If these two don't start to play out, I'm going to call it a day on the DAX this morning. It's not going anywhere, is it? So yeah, Euro US dollar, I'll be looking for short opportunities on this. It's very difficult to get into, looking at lower time frames. So on the 4 hour, there's no areas of support and resistance to even look at. So you've got to be looking at the hourly. Again, there's nothing. Got a little accumulation there, little accumulation there. So looking at these propulsion gaps really is all you can sort of say, right, if we get up to one of those and we start to reject, i.e. we get a reversal alert on the M5 time frame, jumping short. It's very difficult to get into these at the minute, Euro US dollar. But it's going to be driven by the US dollar. Obviously, we've had now, 1, 2, 3, we're on our 4th day of accumulation at the moment. It's just sitting here ahead of FOMC, waiting. Pound odd, choppy mess. If you look at it on the hourly, obviously, with loads of areas. of chop up and down. It's just a bit of a mess. Same as the New Zealand. So pushing up, we got this area here of very, very strong resistance, which we cracked into, which I had drawn on the chart. You can see that on the lower time frame. So we had that area we were looking for a rejection out of. We got a lovely rejection from that. We've just tapped up into that again and rejected again. This is obviously the Australian dollar. Push this down, the news. So again, I would look for a push up and then a pull back down, but you're kind of down towards a very strong level of support. So target wise, you're looking at that. Potentially you might come back down to here. It's virtually impossible to trade the thing. It's just sideways mess. Low time frames. M5, you got plenty of movement on the M5 time frame. So you want to be trading H1 M5 basically, looking at levels on the hourly chart, and just trading M5 reversal alerts. All you can really do on that one. Pound CAD. This one, again, we had a daily level. So this is the one that I was in from Thursday last week. I think I got into this one long. So we looked at this daily level. If you go back further, this is a multi-day support down here. Every time we've got a bounce from this level, the fundamentals have been different. The fundamentals now are not bullish for the pound. They're bearish. So more bullish price action starting to come in. I took this off, just didn't. We got a lovely reversal out of there, which I took. It retested nicely. We pushed up on Friday. This push up was so fast and hard, and then we went into an accumulation on the bank holiday. I just decided to take it off yesterday because I prefer it to be short. I just want to be short on the pound and I want to be short on the euro. And the fact that I got into a Euro CAD short after this push just kind of reminded me why I got into that Euro CAD short, because I'm short on these. And as much as this looks beautiful on the daily as a technical, the fundamentals on the pound are bearish. So I didn't want to take it. So I just took the profit on it. This could well work out. This could just be a lovely bullish engulfing. We could come down, put in a lovely second leg W and fly. I've no idea, obviously. But the way that the pound is going at the moment, I think we are going to get a pullback. I'd be looking for, the moving averages to support this to the downside and us to actually break this level. I don't know when it's going to happen, so I'm taking the money when I've got it on the table at the minute. So hard one to call. I'd be looking for short opportunities. Just had a reversal alert on that yesterday, which is beautiful on the hourly. On lower time frames, I'd be looking for shorts. Pound Swiss. Pound Swiss, same as Euro Swiss. It's a mess at the minute. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. We were looking for bounces out of this area, which we got. We've got a lovely W. We've pushed up into there. Now I'll be looking for shorts. The problem with the pound Swiss at the moment is we're not getting any Swiss franc strength coming through, which we are used to. We are getting the odd flurry, but it's literally lasting for half a day. We don't get any more than that at the moment off the Swissy. So I would be looking for short opportunities on this, but where we are at the moment, we're bang in the middle of a range. So I'd be looking for sort of areas that we can look to take shorts from up here. So when we get up to that area, drop down lower time frames and start looking for reversal alerts somewhere out of there, looking for shorts. Done that one. Pound New Zealand. Again, New Zealand dollar is very difficult to call. I'll be looking for shorts on it, but the New Zealand dollar has been incredibly weak. Therefore, we're getting this push up. So if you look at the Euro New Zealand, it's very much the same thing. Be looking for shorts on it. Difficult to tell where we're going to. We've got this little accumulation which I drew in there. it just basically, you can't find there's no obvious support and resistance in the collapse. So the run up to the war and then the breakout of the war, there's no real obvious support resistance you can target. So you have to kind of pick what you can see. There's lots of little accumulations in there that you could pick. So that's where I've got my levels drawn. So again, any of those levels potentially could be shorts. We are breaking out now into new highs. So the market structure is kind of shifted to the upside. Potentially we're getting a bounce out of this zone. But again, we've got news on the New Zealand dollar. So again, not one I'm really looking at. I'd be looking for shorts. If you really want to trade it, I'd be looking for shorts on it. But there's no real obvious levels of support and resistance that look good on the pound New Zealand. Just breaking out to new highs. Let's move my stops up. Don't want them that close, actually. Didn't get down to these lows. Let's just have a quick look at where we're going on this DAX. Pound New Zealand, let me just do the pounds. Pound US, same as the Euro US. It's a short. Pound US, it's so difficult to get into this thing. This is the only accumulation on the 4 hour we've got. Literally, that's it. This is where the 1.3 level I would expect us to be wanting to get up to. Other than that, anywhere in this zone here, I'd be looking for an entry. So if we could get weakness on the US dollar today and tomorrow ahead of FOMC, if we can push up roughly 1.5 ADR up into that area there, I'll be looking for shorts. But at the moment, I took a couple of those buys down there last week, but I can't really long it long term. So I'm looking for shorts on it at the moment. Obviously, we haven't gone anywhere, so I'm looking for area up here. There's going to be a lot of selling sitting up there, ready to come in. They may well come and take out that high because a lot of people, when they saw that propulsion move down and that rebound, would have gotten short there. They'd have their stops up there. So good level for shorts up there, but at the moment where we are, there's just nothing at the moment on this one. Just looking at the DAX, just want to see where we're potentially heading if we're going long. So looking at the daily levels, which I've got drawn out here, just extend that one out. Oh, wrong one. Hello? So that's the first area there, which is 14,127. 149, 127. So yeah, just below that propulsion gap. This first target. See if we can get up there. Right, so the New Zealand's last ones to cover, apart from the US. New Zealand dollar CAD, we had that breakdown out the symmetrical triangle, and it hasn't stopped since. New Zealand dollar, if you look at all the New Zealand dollars, we're just in a period of weakness at the moment on the New Zealand dollar. If you look at the COT report, yeah, this is what I mean about the COT report being completely out of whack. It's just not right, is it, at the minute at all? So we've got divergence on the New Zealand and the Aussie, which is again unusual. So with all these New Zealand dollars, I would have to say you're looking for a short bias on them. Where you get in is very, 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 very difficult. The rate it's all coming down at the moment, I'll be looking on the hourly for some kind of support resistance. The trouble is it's not really getting anywhere near it. So if we get a push up to those sorts of levels, I'd be interested. If you see any obvious stop runs on lower time frames, like that, take it. That's really all you can do. Take the reversal alerts. But the problem is the speed this is moving. As you can see here, this is a prime example. The speed everything moves at the moment, when it moves, it's very difficult to get in, because by the time you've seen what looks like a good setup, the thing's gone. So I'm looking sort of hourlies and 4 hourlies are really the best things to look at, I think, at the minute, and just scale into positions when you see us getting to these levels, and take a position, take another position, take another position, and then get out if it's wrong. But I'm not trying to get in with pinpoint accuracy on anything at the moment. I'm giving myself a couple of entries, but I'm waiting for support resistance levels at the minute, and when we get those reversals starting to happen, getting in on lower time frames like M5, and then getting out as fast as you can. But I'm waiting for things to get somewhere. You can't trade this at the minute. It's just impossible. You can take some shorts on it if you want to, but I'd rather get in short when we've got somewhere that we're likely to get a load of sellers stepping in. And at the moment, this thing is just not giving you any opportunity. New Zealand dollar Swiss, much better pullbacks on New Zealand dollar Swiss at the moment. And again, shorts. So, but I mean, look how choppy this thing is last week. It's just a mess. The whole thing's a mess. So, short opportunities. Oops, low time frames. Again, lovely liquidity run there, and a short entry, and hold it down to ADR. Hold it down into the lows and get out. But look for shorts. New Zealand's, all the New Zealand's, I think, short opportunities at the minute. New Zealand dollar yen, obviously, we've talked about. That's the only one I would look for long opportunities on. But again, I'm not really interested in getting into any yens at the moment, because at any moment the Bank of Japan could turn around and put a real spanner in the works on those. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, lovely bounce off of the lows. So we got this strong support here that we looked at. We've just tapped into that absolutely beautifully, and we're starting to run away. So we've had the reversal, but again, we are very, very weak on the New Zealand. We've been very, very strong, as you can see, on the US dollar. The only reason this is going to push up is if we get some US dollar weakness ahead of FOMC. If we don't, I can't really see it. So looking at this propulsion gap we've got here, that's really all I would be interested in taking shorts out of. So liquidity run of that level, and then look to getting short. If we don't get up there, not really of interest. US dollars. So yeah, again, longs on all of these at the moment. Got a little bit of selling coming in at the highs on the DAX. Gosh, so slow. I was slugged this morning. So yeah, US dollar CAD. We're up at the highs on the US dollar CAD. We're getting that pullback. Looks like that pullback's coming in. So 4 hour reversal alert we just had on the hourly. You just had retest as well. Again, lovely if we can get down to there. Looking for long opportunities on it, but needs to get down to there by end of London, really, tomorrow. Ahead of the New York session. I'd like to start getting a position in there ahead of the news of FOMC. US dollar Swiss, can't get in front of this steam train at the minute. It's just gone, isn't it? And US dollar yen. So US dollar yen looking for longs. We've had the retest of the propulsion gap. But again, not gone anywhere yesterday because of the bank holiday. Looking for that, but could well come down to here and then do that. That's everything. Nothing is clear at the moment. That is the only thing that is clear. Nothing is clear at the minute. Nothing's been clear for weeks. So it's just a case of jumping in, jumping out. As I said, if you get the way that I'm looking at this at the minute is I'm looking at hourlies and 4 hourlies and thinking, right, when we get to certain areas and I see some signs of strength coming through on lower time frames, so 4 hour, I'll be looking at what we're going to do when we get down to this area here, dropping down to lower time frames and going, right, we've had one, let's get in with one there, let's get in with another one down there. If we get down to there, get out. So just keeping the risks small, giving yourself a couple of positions to get in so you don't get stopped out in all this chop that we're getting, and then play it as if I'm trading a 4 hour trade, but I'm getting out on M15 like you saw with that pound CAD. Out. I just want to be out with some money at the minute in the bank, and give yourself that chance. Pikachu Solo, you look like a demo trader. Okay. I am a funded trader and I trade my own funds. Go and have a look at the 2 years worth of replays on YouTube. So yeah, that's all I've got. Anybody got any other pairs they want to have a look at? Newswise today, obviously just be aware of jolts at 3 o'clock and unemployment on New Zealand dollar. I have looked at everything, but anybody got any other time frames they want to look at? Or anything else to discuss? Still stuck on that DAX. Hitting a little bit of resistance up there at the moment. Probably the idea of closing one of those DAXs out. Just getting some rejection up there. So this support resistance zone we're potentially bouncing out of. I'm just going to give it this candle. We've got another 2 minutes on this candle. Might close these out. See where we close on this one. So there's no low for him this afternoon. We're back down to 1 a day at the moment, and obviously we'll be doing a more detailed analysis like this morning every morning. I'll be posting in the Telegram group any trades that I'm getting into. There's nothing on FX at the minute that I'm looking at for this morning, apart from the ones that I've got on at the moment on the Aussie US, the Euro CAD, etc. So I'm just going to hold those for the moment. I don't want to get in too deep on anything at present. Come on, DAX. So I'm just watching the low of this candle on the DAX. If we break the low of this candle, I'm going to jump out of this because we are meeting some resistance up there. It's just too slow this morning, isn't it, DAX? After the gap fill trade, which was lovely. Pikachu, you have so many indicators on your chart, I can barely see the price. You need a pair of glasses, mate. See, look, these candlesticks are price. You obviously haven't been doing this very long. It's very easy to see price. Right, closing the DAX. Actually, I'm going to close one. Closing them out on the funded as well. $150 this morning. So I'm just going to keep trailing the 20 just to see if we can get up to that level, but I don't like that rejection out the highs there. It's obviously your first day in here, Pikachu, so go and have a look at the 100,000 hours of content on the YouTube channel before you start slating people. Probably best. Right, that's all for this morning then, guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning 7:50 same time. I'll be in the Telegram group, and obviously I'll post anything in the Telegram group that I'm taking. DAX this morning's dead, so I'm going to just let that one run, targeting just below this propulsion gap, this indicator that doesn't tell me anything. sorry Pikachu. So yeah, just that's the only one I'm going to take on the DAX this morning. When we get up to there on the DAX, I don't think we've really got anywhere else to go this morning. We're going to head up into this area of chop. So if we're going to continue to the downside and try and put in new lows this week, this is yesterday's or last week's highs basically that we are going to be retesting. So if we retest any of these levels up here for last week's high, we're looking for shorts. Which is what I'm looking for anyway, but at the moment we're kind of in a holding pattern on the DAX. So until we get some decent price action, we break down below these lows, I should just be looking to short the highs, and then just, yeah, roll on down as we have been with everything. I'm not going to trade, as I say, live this afternoon. Just doing the one morning session at the moment, but I will do a little analysis of what I'm looking for on the US indices and put those in the Telegram group ahead of the open. So I think with the US indices, as I say, it's very much the same sort of thing. Obviously we are short at the moment on the indices. We're in a bear market, but we have hit the lows down here and rejected. So I think there's a good chance of a pullback on them towards the start of this week. But equally, we've got FOMC, so we could just go sideways. We will see. All right, guys. So have a good day. I'll be in the Telegram group if you need anything else. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:50. Hopefully you have a good day. If you're in the DAX, trade with me. So I'm just keeping hold of that one. If we can get a break above this high here, I'm just going to move this one to break even just to cover it. But yeah, not bad morning. Got over 1% in the bank. So yeah, I will see you guys in the morning. Have a good one. See you in the Telegram group.